All right, diving into habits today. You guys picked Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit. We're going to break it down,
Yeah.
see what we can learn.
Yeah, great pick.
So have you ever, stopped and wondered why you just do the things you do?
All the time.
Right? Whether it's like these little personal things you do or like how companies work, even how society changes. This is going to be good.
Yeah, and the cool thing about Duhigg is he takes this idea of habit, which is kind of fuzzy,
Yeah.
and he makes a framework, something you can actually hold on to.
Okay.
And the thing is, understanding that is how you change your behavior.
So break it down for us. The book talks about this habit loop. That's the kind of the foundation of it all, right?
Yeah.
Where do we even start?
Well, imagine this. Almost half of everything you do every day, it's not even a decision, it's a habit. Just running on autopilot in your brain.
Whoa.
That's the habit loop. It's this three-step thing. Duhigg calls it cue, routine, reward.
Okay.
First, there's a cue. It's like a trigger in your world that flips your brain to automatic. Then there's the routine, the actual behavior, the habit itself. Could be good, could be bad.
Yeah.
And then lastly, the reward. That's what tells your brain, hey, do that again. That felt good.
It's like a feedback loop, right?
Yeah,
Like in your brain, making you do these things over and over.
it really is.
So I see candy at work, that's the cue.
Yeah.
Then I grab some, that's the routine.
Yeah.
And then the reward is
Yeah.
like that sugar rush. But see, here's the thing. I'm trying to cut back on sugar. It's like my brain's working against me.
And that's why this is so important. You see the cue, the routine, and then you can actually change it. So you're trying to cut back on sugar. What if instead of the candy, when you need that little break, you went for a walk or even just chatted with a coworker?
Oh. So you're still dealing with a cue,
Yeah.
needing that break, but you switch up how you do it.
That's
That's it.
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way. It's not ignoring the reward. It's just being smarter about how you get to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my thing is hitting snooze every single morning.
Right.
Alarm goes off, I hit snooze, I get a few more minutes of sleep. Not even good sleep, but,
What's the cue there?
the alarm's the cue. Snoozing's the routine. Reward is those few minutes, even if they're terrible.
What if you put your alarm across the room?
Oh,
You got to get out of bed to turn it off. You can't just hit snooze.
okay, that's actually really smart. I might have to try that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. But then Duhigg talks about keystone habits. Those sound super important.
Mm-hmm.
Are these super habits or something?
They're like dominoes. One keystone habit, and it knocks over all these other positive changes.
Ooh, dominoes.
Mhm.
I like that.
Right?
So how does that work?
So you start exercising
Hmm.
regularly. That's the domino. Suddenly, you're eating healthier, you're sleeping better.
You have more energy.
Exactly.
I remember in the book he talks about making your bed. Just something small like that.
Right, that little thing, making your bed, can make you feel more organized, like you accomplished something. And that feeling, it just rolls into the rest of your day.
So you're saying you don't have to change everything at once.
Yeah.
You find these few key things,
Mm-hmm. The keystone habits.
and then it's like everything else upgrades. That's awesome.
Yeah,
But let's be honest, changing habits is hard.
it is.
It's not just about deciding to do it.
No,
There's got to be more to it than just willpower.
you're right.
does.
Willpower alone doesn't always cut it.
Yeah.
And that's where cravings come in.
Well, cravings. This is where it gets good.
Yeah.
Tell me everything.
So remember the reward. Your brain, it starts anticipating that reward, whatever it is. Could be chocolate, that feeling of getting something done, even just feeling less stressed. And that anticipation, that's the craving.
So it's not just me doing the thing, it's my brain wanting that reward.
Yeah.
Whoa, okay. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I'm driven by a craving I didn't even know I had.
Exactly.
But if cravings are the drivers, how do we use that to our advantage? To actually change?
Here's the thing. You can change a habit, but you got to keep the cue and the reward the same. You just switch out the routine. You're kind of tricking your brain.
So instead of grabbing candy when I'm bored, I could, I don't know, do a crossword puzzle. Same bored feeling, same feeling of satisfaction at the end, just a different routine.
You got it.
This is blowing my mind.
It's all about figuring out that craving and finding a new way to satisfy it.
This is making me think about Duhigg's golden rule thing. It's
Yeah.
starting to click.
Good.
It feels way more doable than just trying to white knuckle my way through it. It's not willpower. It's strategy.
It is.
Okay, so we've got the habit loop. Those keystone habits are super important, and cravings are the fuel. What else do we need to know before we start actually trying to use all this? I'm ready to upgrade my habits.
Okay, so there are two more big pieces to this puzzle. First, Two more big pieces to this puzzle.
Yeah.
First, believe it or not, belief's a big deal when you're changing habits, especially when things get tough.
Wait,
Mhm.
belief? Like just believing I can change? Seems kind of basic.
I know, right? But it's powerful. If you don't think you can change, you're probably not gonna. And this is where having other people comes in. Having people around you who are like, yeah, you got this. That helps a ton.
Like a cheer squad.
Totally. And think about this. How does this connect to like social habits, like those big movements Duhigg talks about?
Oh, right. Like the civil rights movement?
Yeah.
He says it's not just close friends. It's also those kind of loose connections, acquaintances, people you kind of know. They all matter in spreading new ideas.
It's like a web, right?
Yeah.
Spreading beliefs and habits. It can change whole communities, even societies.
Oh, hold on. We went from my snooze button to changing the world.
You could kill, huh?
Okay. So we've got the habit loop, keystone habits, those cravings. Small wins matter. Belief matters. Even how this stuff plays out in society. I feel like we've covered a lot.
We have. And now it's time for the how-to. How do we actually change a habit? Ready for the golden rule?
Hit me with it. Let's
Yeah.
make this stuff real. You know, it's great to know all this, but if I can't use it, what's the point?
All right. The golden rule. You can't just erase a bad habit. You can only change it.
So no matter what I do, my nail biting isn't just going to vanish.
Poof. Nope. But you can transform it. Remember the loop. You keep the same cue and reward, but you swap out the routine.
Okay, so like say my cue is stress.
Yeah.
I bite my nails, that's the routine.
Mhm.
And the reward is that it kind of calms me down for a second. What else could I do instead?
What else gives you that calm feeling? Maybe a stress ball,
Mm-hmm.
deep breaths, some calming music, same stress, same feeling of relief afterwards, different action.
So it's like redirecting that energy, not just trying to fight it.
Exactly.
I like that. Work with your brain,
Yeah.
not against it.
Yeah.
You know, I actually tried this with my phone. I was totally addicted.
Uh-huh.
My cue was feeling bored or lonely. I just scroll and scroll. That was the routine, the reward, that little dopamine hit, feeling connected.
So what'd you change?
I started putting my phone in a drawer when I work. It's not right there tempting me.
That's smart.
I still get bored sometimes or lonely, but now instead of the phone, I'll call a friend or take a walk.
Perfect example. You figured out the cue, the routine, the reward, and you changed it. You're in control.
This is awesome. I'm seeing habits totally differently now. It's not like they're controlling me. They're just things my brain learned to do.
Yeah.
And if I can learn new things, well, that's pretty cool.
It is. It changes how you see yourself. Instead of being like, ugh, I have this habit, you're like, I can change this.
Speaking of changing, the book talks about how habits, they actually shape who we are. That's kind of deep.
Right. Think about it. The things we do over and over, they become part of us. They shape how we see ourselves and how other people see us.
Like in the book, the person who starts exercising, it's tough at first, but then it's just what they do.
Mhm.
They become a healthy person, maybe even an athlete. It changes their whole image.
Totally. And the opposite's true, too. If you're always putting things off, you might see yourself as lazy. But what if you change that? You tackle things head on. You start seeing yourself differently.
So it's not just what you do, it's who you're becoming. It's like habits are the ingredients of your identity.
Think about businesses, too. A company's culture. It's just a bunch of habits. Everyone doing the same things.
He talked about how a company can be super successful because everyone's focused on the same stuff. Customer service, innovation, just clear communication. Like their habits make them who they are.
Right. And then zoom out even more. Think about society, those big changes like the civil rights movement, it's habits, shared beliefs, people acting together. It's amazing.
Habits are like the building blocks of everything, from our own little lives to the whole world. This has been amazing. I feel like I'm seeing things with new eyes. We went from the habit loop to like the meaning of life. I'm ready for more.
It's a lot to take in, I know. You're doing great, though, asking all the right questions. There's this one thing Duhigg says that I think is super important.
Okay, what is it?
He reminds us that habits are so powerful because they're not even conscious. They're automatic, just running in the background.
He talked about the basal ganglia, right? That part of the brain where habits live. It's like they have their own little computer program. It's like they have a mind of their own. No wonder they're so hard to change. They're like literally wired in there.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's both the problem and the solution. The problem is we can be on autopilot, doing the same stuff without even thinking about it.
Right.
But the solution is once we get it, once we see how it works, we can take control. You know, it's not about fighting your brain. It's about working with it.
So it's not hopeless. We just got to shine a light on those habits, see what's going on, and then choose,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
which ones to keep, Which ones to change?
Exactly. You're changing those connections in your brain one step at a time, one habit at a time.
Upgrading your software. This has been awesome. I really get why I do the things I do, and even better, how to change the stuff that's not working. Pretty cool.
It is. You've been asking great questions. I can tell you're really getting this. As we're wrapping up, I keep thinking about that idea. Habits shaping who we are.
Yeah, it really makes you think. You're not stuck with the habits you have. You can make new ones.
Yeah.
Become who you want to be.
It makes me wonder, what if we each picked one habit? Just one habit, too. What could we change that would make the biggest difference for who we want to be?
Ooh, that's a good one. What one habit to change? I had to think about that.
It's something to think about. I think that's what's so cool about this whole thing. It's not just the science.
Yeah.
It makes you think about your own life, your choices, what you do every day, and how you can use this stuff to make your life better.
So what's the big takeaway? After all this amazing info, what do we want everyone listening to remember?
I think the biggest thing is habits are powerful, but they're not destiny. They don't control us. We just have to understand how they work, figure out those cues and routines and rewards, and then we can change them,
Yeah.
Like with the golden rule, we can be in charge.
We're not stuck. We can break those bad habits, make new good ones, and become the best versions of ourselves.
I love it.
And it starts with one small step, one habit at a time. Don't try to do everything at once. Just pick one thing.
So here's a challenge for everyone listening. Think about that one habit. What could you start doing or stop doing? That would make a real difference.
It's like those dominoes, right? What's the one domino you could knock over to start that chain reaction?
And don't forget to believe in yourself. You can do it, and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it.
You got this.
This has been The Deep Dive.
See you next time for another awesome exploration.